Hello, this is Dave Hurwitz, Executive Editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with another 8-CD conductor and orchestra box from Deutsche Grammophon, this time featuring Pierre Boulez, whose two Bartók boxes we talked about very recently. And I thought we might as well, while we're on the Boulez kick, finish him off with this thing. There may be some others down the road, but for now we'll take care of the 8-CD thingy here. Now, one of the things about Boulez that I mentioned, and I totally stand by, is that Boulez as an interpreter never evolved at all. If he did it well for Sony initially, and then he remade it, the only way the remake was going to be better is if he didn't do it terribly well the first time and got it better the second time. That sometimes happened, but not very frequently, let's face it. So let's see what we have in here and see if there are improvements and some newcomers and some other things that are worth having. First, it's Boulez and it's Cleveland. We need to understand that this was the orchestra that he really felt most congenial conducting quite often and made some of his best recordings for Sony with. So it's interesting to see what we have here. First, 2 discs of Debussy. This is basically all of his Debussy remakes, and they're excellent. They were excellent the first time. I do think, by the way, that the Image, which he did in Cleveland originally, is sort of has a unique clarity and sharpness and, yes, sort of coolness that's quite wonderful and quite special, and they were wonderfully recorded by Sony. So I don't think he's better in the Image on DG, but everything else, that is the Nocturnes and the Clarinet Rhapsody and Jeu and the Afternoon of a Faun and Printemps and stuff, he either didn't do before or he's doing it again now as well, if not better. So that's wonderful. Two good discs. Next we get Mahler 4 with Julienne Banza as the soprano, Julienne Bance as we call her in Americanese. Anyway, I like this performance. I really do. I think it's fresh. I think it's lively. I think it's well done. It's beautifully played. There's nothing wrong with it. It's like all Boulez's Mahler. It's on the cool side, but the fourth it's a stylized neoclassical kind of pastiche piece anyway. You know, it's sort of like Stravinsky's Pulcinella, kind of in Mahlerian terms, if you want to call it that way. And Boulez gets it, and I think he does a very good job with it. We also get the Mahler 7th, and this is in some ways the most interesting performance in Boulez's Mahler cycle. It is glacial. It is ice cold. It is totally abstract. It is completely lacking in atmosphere, but it's so much a unified conception of the work. I kind of like it. I really do. Yeah, it's sort of a vivisection of Mahler's 7th, but again, with superb playing and an interesting view of it, in the same way that, you know, some people like Klemperer's Mahler 7th, which is impossibly slow and just kind of a mess, but it's a view of the work, and it's intriguing, and the music itself is so strange. You know, it takes all kinds of different approaches. The only approach it doesn't take was Ivan Fischer's recent one on Channel Classics, which is neither fish nor fowl. But in this sense, I think Boulez goes to a certain extreme in his approach to Mahler that in the 7th of all symphonies has the best chance of working. And I think it's kind of cool. I really do. I enjoy it. Not often, but I enjoy it. I get the point. Now, next comes a wonderful, wonderful disc of Messiaen. Now, Boulez and Messiaen didn't always get along, you know, because Messiaen wasn't sort of totally serial enough for Boulez. You know, he was a little bit too out there and wacky, and he wasn't part of the Boulez crew, in a sense. And so Boulez actually didn't play a lot of Messiaen. You would think he would have, but he didn't. And he especially wasn't going to do something like the Turangalila Symphony, which is about like cosmic joy and love and God and all the things that Boulez wanted nothing to do with. But here we have some of, you know, we have Chronochromie, which is Messiaen's possibly most abstract orchestral piece, along with Le Vie d'en haut and Et expecto resurrectionem mortuorum. Wonderfully done, all of them. You've Messiaen would have been thrilled. I have no doubt. Of course, he was thrilled by everything anyone did, but I think he would have appreciated these performances, especially coming from Boulez, because they were, French people who didn't see eye to eye all the time. Next comes an absolutely horrible disc. I remember when this came out, it was a shocker how bad it was. Ravel Scheherazade with Anne-Sophie von Otter, who sounds completely out of sorts. Le Tombeau du Couperin, you'd think that Cleveland would play it magnificently. It's just limp. It's completely uninteresting. I don't know what went wrong here. The Pavane for a Dead Princess, the Minuet Antique, then the Debussy, Dans Sacré Profane, which he did so beautifully in Cleveland before, and here is sort of a little dull. And Le Jet d'Eau, and the 3 Ballades de François Villon with Alison Hagley, soprano. There's something just off about this whole disc. I don't know what went wrong. It seems like it's obviously like fillers and things he didn't do before. So I was looking forward to hearing it, because it wasn't the kind of music that Boulez was known for even in those composers. And it was a nice, filling in the gaps repertoire-wise disc, but it's a dud. It's just a dud. Really, it's not well recorded either. Something is just not right. Let's just put it that way. So that one is off. Then we get the Ravel piano concertos with Pierre-Laurent Aimard. Now, I did, my Ravel piano concerto summary video, and I got my tuchus handed to me for not mentioning Boulez and Christian Zimmermann in the Ravel piano concertos in Cleveland. Well, what the heck happened? Why didn't they include that one? Now, you out there were right. That's a great disc of Ravel piano concertos. It didn't make my list, but I acknowledge freely it's wonderful. The remake here with Aimard, it's nothing special. It's nothing special. And why not include the good one? The Zimmermann. It had the Valse Noble et Sentimentale with it. It was fine. What is the deal with that? I have no idea. Then we get, finally, Stravinsky, Petrushka, and Le Sacre du Printemps. Now, as we all know, let me take a look here and make sure I know what I'm talking about, because if I don't, you're all going to yell at me. And yes, indeed. See, this is another missed opportunity, because the Petrushka that Boulez originally did in New York was the original version, and this is the original version. Why didn't he do the revised version? That would kind of be interesting. It would have justified doing it all over again. And it just seems to me, as I'm squishing these into the box here, that it shows, again, that Boulez, when he remade these things, I just don't think he was terribly interested sometimes. He's just doing what he knew, not something, you would think he would have had a more questing spirit. Let's put it that way. The Rite of Spring, his early one on Sony for Cleveland, is fabulous. These are both good performances. There's no question about that. They're just not as exciting as his original one. The Petrushka was with New York Philharmonic. The Rite of Spring was with Cleveland. Now they're both with Cleveland. It's good to hear Cleveland play the original Petrushka. So in that sense, it's not necessarily competitive with the other one. They're different. But the Rite of Spring is directly competitive, and the early one is clearly superior. It's just that much more exciting, more incisive. And I even think it sounds better. I think the sound is more transparent. The engineering is a little clearer. So what do we have here? Let us summarize, shall we? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 really good discs. The Stravinsky is okay. It's good. So let's say 6 discs and 2 outright. Well, the Ravel piano concertos with Aimard, they're not failures, but they're not Boulez's best. It wasn't a smart choice. And that other Ravel and Debussy thing, the Scheherazade and the other stuff, forget it. So it's not a bad set. It's not badly chosen. It's representative of what Boulez was doing, which is a good thing. There is enough here that was new to his discography, especially the Messiaen stuff and the Ravel 4 and 7, and some of these other things. The Petrushka in Cleveland, not new but newish. That if you want to get this set, you can get it without feeling too bad that you're wasting your time or getting ripped off. Thank you. Keep on listening, and if you enjoyed this little chat, do please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Take care.